Hey guys, this is Kelsey from the Arcane Library, and I'm here today to tell you about a brand new adventure that I'm releasing called The Corruption of Skyhorn Lighthouse. Oh yeah, so this is actually a follow-up adventure to The Secrets of Skyhorn Lighthouse, which was a 5th level adventure I released for free on the DM's Guild about 3 years ago. So this Corruption of Skyhorn Lighthouse follow-up took about 3 years for me to actually develop and write, and it is for 8th level players. Hopefully your characters have gone from 5th to 8th level in the intervening time, and this kind of continues on the story of what happened in Skyhorn Lighthouse. That said, you don't need to have played through Skyhorn Lighthouse to make use of this adventure and have fun with it. There are some hooks that you could alter slightly to make this work really with any group, regardless of their experience with Skyhorn Lighthouse in the past. So I'll just get into it then. I'm going to walk you guys through some of the encounters and things to keep in mind and sort of what's going on with this adventure. So, to start off with the background here. So, what's going on? Some tritons have come out of the ocean and have arrested the keeper of Skyhorn Lighthouse named Lucian, who the characters probably met in the last adventure. Now, if you haven't played through the last adventure, I would substitute Lucian for any NPC that the characters care about. So the Tritons have arrested someone that they care about and have accused that person of summoning and unleashing Chules, these nasty abomination monsters, into the ocean around Skyhorn Lighthouse. So Lucian, or the cherished NPC, is being held for trial and will go to trial in 3 days and could face some severe penalties if the truth doesn't come out about what's going on. So let me give you some background first as we go into this. What's really going on here is Lucian is not responsible for the Chules. The Chules are coming out of a bowl of commanding water elementals that's in the lighthouse. But the real source of this is an aboleth that has infiltrated the wellspring beneath the lighthouse that is the source of power for the bowl. The aboleth is there with the help of an evil sea captain named Captain Haddad, who sort of fell under the sway of this aboleth and has gone meddling and has managed to pull it into the material plane and help it take over the wellspring. And that is the real reason that Chules are coming out of the bowl and popping out of the ocean and just cropping up everywhere. So the players will discover that throughout the adventure. But to start with, they need a hook. So the Tritons are investigating what's going on here, but there was one Triton in particular named Argos Pentath who really believes that Lucian is innocent and sort of struck out on his own investigating. He found a sunken ship at the bottom of Skyhorn Lighthouse on the seafloor, and when he went in there, he got attacked by some Chules that then chased him away, and that's when the players come in. So the first encounter in this adventure is Abominations attack. So they see Argos leap out of the ocean or somewhere nearby being pursued by Chules, and it's very likely that they'll try to help him, especially when the Chules start attacking innocent bystanders every so often. So after that encounter is over, we move on to TritonsPlea, which is where Argos gives the characters a bit of an idea of what's going on and asks for their help. And we have appeals to reward heroism and discovery to try to pull your group into wanting to play out this adventure and help exonerate Lucian. So after that, the characters will probably need some help getting to this sunken ship, which is the clue that Argos gives them. So the characters might have some connections to other sea captains, even from Skyhorn Lighthouse, the prior adventure. But if not, there's the opportunity for them to go to the Red Rook and get in touch with a couple sea captains there. The 3 sea captains who might be willing to take them are some of my 3 favorite NPCs that I've ever made. I don't know why, they just crack me up. One of them is a Dark Mantle who's wearing a headband of intellect, somehow got one of those, and is now this super genius with a monstrous crew of ettercaps and bugbears, and his name is Rimshamzur. There's also Thelonious Brack, who's a goblin mage, and then there's Annabelle Lee, who is the rival and love interest of Sheila Coppertree, the sea captain from the prior adventure who helped the characters out. So the characters will be able to choose one of those 3 captains to help them, and depending on who they choose, their journey to Skyhorn Lighthouse will be different. It could either be stealthy if they choose the goblin, it could be speedy if they choose Annabelle Lee, or it could be safe if they choose Rimshamzur. So the next encounter is called Out to Sea, and it helps play out the events on the way to Skyhorn Lighthouse and what happens based on which ship the characters are on. So, once they get there, once they get to Skyhorn Lighthouse, they're going to have to go under the water down to reach the sunken ship. The sea captains each have a way to help the players accomplish underwater breathing if they don't have something that permits that. So that shouldn't be a showstopper, but the assistance comes at a price, so it's not going to be, you know, here's a water breathing spell, go on ahead. They're going to get charged fees, or they're going to have, in the case of the goblin, helmets that let them breathe underwater but hamper their ability to use perception. So anyway, once they get into the water, they're going to have to go down past some squads of tritons who are patrolling the area looking for chewels and looking for evidence about what happened with these chewels appearing. So the characters can either sneak, negotiate, or potentially fight their way past the tritons, although fighting is probably the least wise option. So however they get down to the ocean floor, they're going to then come upon the next encounter called Sunken Ship. And the Sunken Ship is the key to actually getting inside the dungeon portion. So you can see on this super cool map right here, this is the Sunken Ship. And this is what Argos told them to investigate. So when they go inside, they actually find an apparatus of Qualish being operated by two strange, translucent-skinned humanoids. And it turns out that these humanoids are aboleth thralls that are in the service of the aboleth. And so the characters will get a chance to fight their way out of that situation. The apparatus of Qualish is heavily damaged and flooded, but that could be some pretty cool treasure for the characters to salvage if they somehow figure out how to do that after this adventure. It's not operable during the adventure, so they can't really use it in this situation, but perhaps down the road. So then, once the players get inside the ship, they'll see that there's a crack in the hull and the ship has sunken and is obscuring this passageway into some caves. They might find some clues about what's going on if they search the ship, and they'll find the diary of the former captain of the ship. And they also will get to then head inside the cave portion. So you'll see here in this cave map, there's a few encounters that happen. As they come inside, there's a sort of a trash area where they might find an NPC, a merfolk who came in here looking for treasure, and she got herself way in over her head and is like, what am I doing here? So they could help her out and get some information. And then over here, there's some more aboleth thralls that the players can either sneak past or fight past. And then you'll see that there's some crazy kelp, like some brown kelp along here. And I've been calling that the evil kelp. And what that does is it's actually growing because of the filthy presence of the aboleth and its corrupting presence. So that kelp is anti-magic. And if players go inside of it, they have to make saving throws, or else any magic or spells or items, the abilities of those things get suppressed for 1d20 minutes. So that's a way to make underwater adventuring feel a bit more dangerous again, because if the players have a way to breathe underwater, it almost makes the environment not interesting anymore. So this creates sort of a tactical problem and a hazard for them to have to avoid or get through, or maybe they can like chop it up or try to blast it out of the way. Enemies will try to pull them into it, especially chewels who can detect magic. So that's an interesting kind of hazard. And the final encounter down here is up towards the top. The players will discover that there is this dark, inky pool, and Captain Haddad, the evil sea captain who helped summon the aboleth, is there with a chewel, and they're turning a thrall into a chewel, which is what that black murky pool does. So that will be an interesting combat encounter. Captain Haddad is pretty crazy, and even if the players capture him, he won't be very cooperative, but he'll probably tell them some things that are clues about what's to come. So then there's a passageway leading up, and that leads into the final section of this adventure, the Halls of the Merid. Now, this is an area created by Merids, and so the Wellspring, which is a source of power for the Bowl of Commanding Water Elementals, that was placed in this area long ago by a Merid lord, whose daughter married the first Skyhorn. And that's why Skyhorn Lighthouse has all of these magical, cool things and connections to the plane of water elemental, or elemental plane of water, because the first Skyhorn family had a water genasi, the daughter of Amir. So this whole thing was created to give her dominance over the ocean surrounding Skyhorn Lighthouse. And so the players are going to discover this area and find that it is an interesting place inside what they thought might have been a dingy cave. So the first encounter here is a room with a well, and the well is full of coins and jewels and valuable trinkets, and the players are going to have to leave an offering to the Merid Lord who created this place, or they won't be able to pass through these crazy water walls that are blocking their passage. So there are 2 water walls. If the characters try to go through them, the walls will kind of function like a water elemental where it grabs them and deals bludgeoning damage and they get stuck inside of it. So if they leave an offering of enough value inside this well, those walls go away. Or if they try to take anything out of the well, a corrupted water elemental, a new creature I created for this adventure, rises up and attacks them, and that would be a pretty nasty combat for them. So they have the choice of how to proceed there. And then if the characters go to the west, they're going to encounter a kitchen area where there are 3 magical servants who are actually unseen servant spells, but they're permanent, and they're making a gourmet seafood dinner. And they're actually making it for a Merid who is living in another room in this dungeon. The characters might not know that yet, but if they say that they're guests of a Merid here, these unseen servants will actually cook them a gourmet seafood meal that heals them, kind of like a potion of superior healing. So that's a cool opportunity for them to, work their way into some free healing. So there's some secret passageways the characters might discover, but eventually they will make their way to this room right here, room number 8, which is where there is a Merid hanging out. And he is Amir Farzad, and he's been banished here by the court of the Merids for 100 years as punishment for granting a wish to a mortal. And he's been observing the goings-on inside this area, like Captain Haddad, the thralls. He knows about the aboleth. He just doesn't care. He's mad that he's stuck here. Everything to him is boring or annoying, pretty much, so he just doesn't want to be bothered trying to fight off or defeat these creatures. To him, it's just easier to just hang out and let things play out the way they will. He's not evil, but he's just not that helpful as far as combat firepower goes. But he will offer the characters useful information if they manage to win him over. And there's even a secret room where the only thing he cares about, his starfish farm, is. So if they find that, they might be able to leverage that in their favor. So the final encounter then is in the room to the north called the Wellspring. And that is where the characters are going to confront the aboleth who's behind all of this. There are some aboleth thralls in the room as well. This is a tough combat. There's evil kelp in the room also. And the aboleth is actually hiding inside some of the evil kelp and has projected an illusion of itself into the Wellspring, which is like this corrupt pool of black swirling water now. So the characters might figure that out, or they might just charge up and attack, and then the aboleth is going to get some sort of free surprise against them. And there's some tactics here. The aboleth itself is actually weak to silver, which is uncommon for an aboleth. But because of its ability to create thralls and its sort of superior power compared to a normal aboleth, I thought it would be cool to give it an interesting weakness as well. So if the characters damage it with a silver item, which Farzad might clue them in is a good idea, it ends some of the enslavement effects that it has on nearby creatures. So that would be kind of a cool tactical thing. And then after that, we move on to the aftermath. Hopefully the characters did not ally themselves with the aboleth, which is an option, but if they decided to defeat it instead, then the aftermath talks about how to handle rewards and what happens at the trial. If the characters bring evidence of Lucian's innocence, Lucian didn't know about this place beneath Skyhorn Lighthouse, and that can be proven, then he is exonerated. And then we have some future adventure hooks for if you want to continue this adventure, or maybe I'll write another one in 3 more years that continues the Skyhorn story. It probably won't take that long. And you guys can use this however you would like. So this is going to be available on the Dungeon Masters Guild, and I hope that you check it out. It's gonna be on sale for the first couple of weeks, sort of as a like exciting, like this is new type thing. So I hope you guys check it out, and thank you for listening to this walkthrough, and I hope you have a lot of fun with this adventure. All right, talk to you guys later.